his MVP odds are 36-1 at the moment. Is that something that should interest people? Is it what needs to happen with him, or is this if the Clippers are just better than expected without Kawhi, he might organically have that, we'll call it the narrative nudge to enter that conversation?
So MVPs usually come from top 3 seeds, right? We're basically looking at Russell Westbrook as the lone exception in the last 15, 20 years. And that was because he averaged a triple double back before it was cool, I guess. So I think your hope of Paul George being an MVP relies on the Clippers finishing pretty high in the standings. And as much as I like the pieces on this team, I don't think that's going to happen. I know that the West is got a lot more parity and probably a lot less top end talent than in years past. Like, you could tell me that the Clippers were better than the Mavericks and the Nuggets and the Blazers in the regular season, I wouldn't bat an eye. But if they fell behind all 3 of them, I also don't think that's unreasonable either. Mm-hmm. So I do think that there's kind of a top 3 of like that Phoenix, Utah, Lakers trio, especially during the regular season, when Utah is so deep and has just figured it out. So it's hard for me to see the Clippers jumping high enough into the standings for Paul George to get that MVP buzz. But as for George himself, I just think his efficiency is going to take something of a hit playing without Kawhi Leonard. It's Paul George just has the smoothest looking jump shot in the world, and when it's flowing, he looks unguardable. Like, he looks just like a diet version of Kevin Durant. And obviously that's just not the case on a regular basis. You see it during the playoffs when he has just these wild swings of shooting, above 50% and then below 25% on occasion. You never know which version of Paul George you're going to get on any given day. So I think that efficiency, that consistency is going to be hard to maintain over the course of 82 games, especially if the Clippers lean with these more defensive lineups like Zubac starting at center. During the conference finals, I thought Paul George had a really hard time scoring against Phoenix, and it wasn't because Phoenix was doing a good job of guarding him. It was just he had a hard time getting his drive game going with Zubac camped out in the dunker spot. So I guess it depends how much the Clippers play big versus small, to see how well Paul George is able to function offensively. I just think that his numbers aren't going to look as spectacular as you would want from an MVP candidate, even though I could see him having a really valuable second team All NBA season. I'm just not sure that translates to MVP discussion.
To your point, his usage jumped by 8% without Kawhi last year, and his effective field goal percentage dropped by 3.5 points. And it'll probably just get tougher this year if Eric Bledsoe is playing a lot of the minutes that Patrick Beverley and better 3-point shooters were logging last